name is Samantha.
And I'm Mindy.
And we have made a pre-lecture to show you how to engage the student in the classroom setting by utilizing a flipped classroom approach.
So we'll start by comparing a traditional classroom with the flipped classroom. The picture on the left here is the instructor and the student. As you can tell, the student is sleeping, facing the instructor up in front of the class. It's instructor-led. There's really no interaction in between the student and the instructor. And homework is usually assigned for home without any feedback really from the instructor in the moment for the student to understand.
So switching to the flipped classroom, our flipped classroom supports active learning because it replaces that standard in the classroom lecture with interactive opportunities for our students. So our flipped classroom characteristics are, they are student-led, and the homework in the classroom is with the instructor present. So typically what happens in a traditional classroom is we hear the lecture, we go home, do the homework, and then that's when all the questions come. So in a flipped classroom, the homework is done in the classroom, so the instructor is there present to answer questions about the homework, the interactive activities, to better help the student understand content. So you're maximizing the interaction between student and instructor. A few statistics with flipped classrooms. 42% of educators reported an increase in job satisfaction, as well as 99% of instructors that have utilized the flipped classroom report that they will never go back to traditional teaching methods. In addition, 85% of students reported greater understanding of course content and improvement in grades, as well as improved interaction with their instructors. Potential barriers of a flipped classroom. So while each of you may have your own personal potential barriers of a flipped classroom, here are some that staff here have personally experienced. What if my student does not have internet? So some of our students do not have internet access. Ways around that, for example, is that you could make a disc for them so they can watch the pre-lectures in the home environment without the use of internet. What if my student doesn't have a computer? You can also put these pre-lectures on DVD so they can watch it on TV at home, or there are computer labs at your Ivy Tech campus. My student does not watch the pre-lectures. We're going to show you later in this presentation a way to make your pre-lectures more interactive and to be able to monitor what students are watching the pre-lectures and if they are gaining understanding of the content. If there are issues with technology, you can attempt to aid in helping them with those technology issues, but we also have IT departments here at Ivy Tech. And my student does not like the idea of a flipped classroom. So at first it may be different and change is hard for people. So the big thing that you could do for your students is to educate them on why a flipped classroom is important and how it facilitates a greater level of learning.
It's hard for students to change, so just to illustrate that, so cross your arms like you normally do, and then uncross them, and try to cross them again the opposite way. It's very hard to kind of get used to that, and that's how students are when they go from a traditional classroom to a flipped classroom. So change is sometimes hard. The resources to support your flipped classrooms. Online technology, there's plenty of sites, YouTube, Posit, Kahoots. We'll talk about that more in just a second. On-campus technology, simulation labs. Even if you don't have a high-fidelity simulation lab, you can role play in your class or use your own tools to come up with how to simulate that patient experience. Group discussions, case studies, laptops, and also your classroom. Things to facilitate flipped classroom include tables set where you can do group work, where you can walk around a classroom and better facilitate the student learning, interact with the students, give them instant feedback on what they're doing. The instructor still remains the core part of the classroom. They're not absent in a flipped classroom. So, what do you have to work with for a flipped classroom?